If you are under 60, living a healthy, energetic and productive life beyond 100 is going to become achievable. That's according to New Zealand author, pharmacist and health entrepreneur Greg Macpherson. In his new book, Harnessing the 9 Hallmarks of Aging to Live Your Healthiest Life, Greg draws on knowledge and insights from research, conversations with global leaders in the field of aging health, and gives readers a guide to understanding the science and help us learn how to slow, repair, and get this, maybe even reverse the effects of time on our bodies. He joins me now in the studio. Morning to you, Greg.
Good morning, Mel.
It sounds like the elixir of life, doesn't it?
It does a wee bit, doesn't it?
Living to over 100, it seems many people fear aging. We often pretend to be younger than we are because being old isn't cool. Why do you reckon that is?
I think there's just a general fear about it because we're all, I guess we don't want to be that person in a ball in a rest home bed somewhere. And so it's really just the fear of that impending thing coming at you.
Yeah, but we should be really happy that we've got to live to be old. We should be really embracing it.
Absolutely, I think it's actually a gift to get old, right? And the mastery that comes with it, and all the experiences that you have. But for whatever reason, it just does seem to be a thing, right?
Well, I suppose your body starts aching a bit more, but it doesn't seem to be cool. I mean, ageism actually costs society, doesn't it? Yeah,
it does actually. Just ageism is all around us, which is pretty disappointing given the fact that we're all going to go through it. But it's jobs, it's healthcare, it's access to so many things. It just doesn't happen so much as you get older.
And it seems in Western culture in particular, we don't seem to appreciate our elders. We look on them as we belittle them, or we don't think that they've lived their lives. But you just need to talk to some of your grandparents, and they've lived extraordinary lives.
Absolutely. It just seems to be a shame that we seem to ship them off to rest homes and things like that, whereas other cultures keep them tightly embedded into the family unit, and I think there's just so much value in that.
So what is actually old these days?
Yeah, that's right. I think it's a state of mind almost, right? So I think if you tackle ageing positively, you actually will experience ageing a lot better. There's perhaps a lot of people that do start to have experienced that negative ageism, and perhaps that affects their mental health and depression, and these things just impact actually on your ageing.
And they feel like they've been left not to rot, but just left to sit in a corner and not embrace or get involved with society.
Yeah. And what a waste of an amazing resource of the wisdom and the experience that these people have.
Yeah, what a waste, because we're an ageing population as well, aren't we?
Absolutely.
There's going to be many more cool old people around. So do people want to live to be over 100?
I think so, and it's a wee bit of a change, but if we can live healthily to 100, then why wouldn't we? If 100 becomes the new 60 or 70, and we've got lots of energy and we're doing things, then it's absolutely worthwhile.
Well, I suppose it's possible, isn't it? 50 is the new 30.
Totally.
It seems to be.
Yep.
What about how much of it is just in your genes?
They say around 20% of your is in your genes, and then the other 80% is actually how you deal with it. So what I mean by that is if you sit on the couch, then that's possibly not so good. But if you get out there and exercise and do a bit of you eat well, those sorts of things, they can actually have a much bigger impact on your longevity.
Now, one of the things that you talk about in Harnessing the 9 Hallmarks of Aging to Live Your Healthiest Life is how your body ages and what we can do in those different life stages, because there are different things that we should be doing. So what should we be doing to is combat the right word, combat aging, or...
Yeah, look, it's a wee
enhance
bit,
aging, maybe.
I mean, it's a wee bit like, the power of compounding. You put money in the bank and over time it just gets greater, and that's the power of compound interest. Well, the same sort of thing happens with our cells. If we can look after them, the benefits of that compound and deliver for us a little bit further down the track. And, our cells and our bodies do decline at different times and do different things at different times. So, a strategy is really worthwhile in terms of exercising when you're young and doing other things as you get slightly older.
So what should you do in your 30s?
In your 30s, it's just get a lifelong habit of exercising is really important. We have this stuff in our cells called DNA, and the DNA is, most people know, but it's the instruction set for our cells. And it turns out if you look after your DNA by doing some good things, then that can actually pay dividends way down the track. And so in your 30s, definitely a focus on DNA health is important.
And what about your 40s?
In your 40s, you're starting to lose a little bit of energy. So again, back into that exercise and good eating, because that's really important. But you can start to take supplements that haven't been available to previous generations that are available to us now. It actually can modify and improve that energy in your body.
What sort of supplements?
There's something relatively new called NAD, which is it's a particular enzyme that's in your cells, and it declines with age, and it's really tightly involved in DNA repair, but also these things called mitochondria, which are your cellular batteries. And if you can top up your NAD, which has not been possible to do up until recently, that actually kind of shifts things and just enables more energy for your cells.
So science is really enabling us to live longer because it's giving us these supplements that we can take that our parents and our grandparents didn't have the ability to do unless they took it naturally somehow. Yes,
yeah, that's right. And actually it's not really possible to do that because you'd have to eat so much food to actually be able to boost your NAD levels. So these are the sorts of things that we've got the benefit of understanding, and that's really where this 9 hallmarks of aging comes in, because now that we can understand what these things are. I mean, aging used to be all about grey hair and wrinkles or no hair. Now we're getting into the cell and understanding it at a cellular level, which just gives us the opportunity to start to go, okay, how can we fix this particular issue?
So is it possible to have old cells at a young age because you haven't looked after them?
Absolutely. It's what we're learning now is you've got 2 ages, if you will. You've got your chronological ages, which is the date of birth, and then you've got your biological age, and that's actually it's actually a function of your DNA. As we get older, our DNA attracts junk, if you will. And if you're not living a healthy life, then your DNA fills up with that junk. And so it's quite possible you have a biological age of 70 in your 50s. But the beautiful thing about it all is that you can, with exercise, actually get rid of that junk, and you can end up with a biological age of 30. And when you do that, you're putting yourself at a really good advantage for living a really long life.
So exercise is the key, is what you're saying here?
Well, look, if there's one thing that you can do, then absolutely exercise is really important. And if it's 5 minutes a day, because that's all you can do, that's good. But if you can get to 30 minutes a day of just walking, then that's really good. And it's really just about, we're modern humans, but we've got ancient biology, and what we used to do 100,000 years ago was get out there and hunt and work for our food, and that's actually what we're tuned in to do. So if we can do more of that, and even if it is just exercise, then it puts ourselves in a good place.
Now, one of the things you mentioned for the over 50s, what you can do lifestyle-wise, is intermittent fasting. Is that particularly for that 50-plus group, it works better? Yeah,
that's we accumulate these things called senescent cells when we get older, and senescence is just another word for sort of aged, if you will. And senescent cells are cells that stop dividing for whatever reason, and when we're young, the body clears them out. But as we get older, for some reason, that doesn't happen so much. And so these senescent cells, they're like zombie cells. They sit there and they're undead, and they throw out all horrible pollutants, and they're not very nice neighbours to have. And so they actually affect the health of the cells around us. So when you fast, what you do is you actually triggering a bit of a house cleaning exercise, and it clears out a lot of those senescent cells, and the effects are quite amazing.
So what sort of fasting should you be looking at doing? Days or weeks or hours?
Yeah, for sure. So it's just, again, it's really what you can do. And obviously you don't want to go crazy with it, because fasting's essentially not eating for a wee while. I do 2 days a week of 24 hours. So on Sunday I'll have my last dinner and then I don't eat again until Monday dinner, and then I don't eat again until Tuesday dinner, and then I get back into just regular eating. And this just gives my body the chance to go, right, I want to clear out all the junk. And then when I start eating again, then you get a boost of, fresh cells that come in, and that's extremely healthy for you.
So for people who think that sounds unachievable, can you do shorter spurts?
Yeah,
or
totally.
Do just well?
Yeah, so the main thing is that you don't snack between meals, because your body needs to actually have periods where it doesn't have food. One of the challenges with the Western diet and our snacking is that we're constantly fed.
I love a snack.
Yeah. So what that does, though, is it basically puts our body into a point where it's not got the chance to do that cellular housekeeping. So, just not snacking is the first thing, and everything in moderation, right? So, nothing hard and fast, but as a rule. And then if you can, perhaps skip breakfast once or twice a week. And what that does is it just gives your body that extra few hours, and that just flips on a few housekeeping cascades that can help. And then to the far extreme, there's some really significant benefits, maybe once or twice a year, that you fast for about a week.
And that's for the 50 plussers.
Yeah.
So for your book, Harnessing the 9 Hallmarks of Aging to Live Your Healthiest Life, how are you hoping, or finally, what are you hoping people are going to get out of it? How are they going to use it? Yeah,
so in the book, we talk about what is the hallmarks of aging, what they are, and when you've got a target, then you've got something you can do about it. So in there, we've got strategies in terms of just exercise and diet and those sorts of things, but then you can add in a few extra things, the new supplements that are available, and generally just being more aware of these things can help you consciously live healthier for longer.
Excellent. The book is available right now. Greg Macpherson, thank you so much. If people want to get a hold of it, where do they go?
Yep, there's a website called Harnessing the 9 Hallmarks of Aging, so they can pop on there, and otherwise just Google Greg Macpherson, 9 Hallmarks of Aging, and you should be able to find me.
Something will come up. Greg, thank you so much.
Thank you, Mel.
And I will attempt to fast at some stage, although I'm not holding my breath for the 24 hours. That's definitely not happening.